before you say anything about this video, it will be amazing if this thing stays in any semblance of tune throughout it. But I will try my best, as your worthy servant, to do so. Hey everyone, I'm Nick in the States, and this right here, this amazing guitar, this masterpiece of wood and metal craftsmanship is the mighty Maestro SG by Gibson. Yes, by Gibson. Gibson participated in the manufacturing of this, which explains the correct SG shape, the correct Gibson headstock. Screw you, Epiphone! We're going to put the good stuff on the cheap stuff. That's all right. And the overall je ne sais quoi that insists that this is a Gibson SG just by their budgety Maestro brand. Now, I did an unboxing video for this, and I went into probably more detail in that than I will here, but this is kind of the overview of life with the Maestro. And as you can imagine, if you lived with a real Maestro, you know, Beethoven or Mozart or whatever, after the novelty wore off, probably kind of a pain in the butt. They're just very eccentric. And the Maestro SG is, well, no different. Now, it should be pointed out that this was a $79 guitar that came with the guitar, a cable, a strap, a CD-ROM that you can take, or DVD, maybe, DVD-ROM, for lessons and stuff, and it came with the mighty GM05 amp. If you'd like to see a demo of the GM05 amp, there actually is one at the end of the Maestro unboxing video. And there will be some more stuff, tomfoolery and shenanigans with it coming up. But if you just can't miss out, go back to that unboxing video and you can see more of the wonder, the epicness that is the mighty little GM05. My tongue is firmly in cheek in case wherever you are you may misunderstand my faux seriousness. Anyway, about this guy. Now, this guitar is $79. I mean, normally I think it's $149 for the kit, so it was on Walmart rollback. And I will tell you that at $149 for the kit, no. At $79, it's a great spot to start with a couple of interesting caveats. This guitar had a nice little bow to the neck that, as one of the commenters said that they had experienced, you could probably use it as a neat hunting mechanism to shoot arrows from, much like a real bow. So I was able to pop the truss rod cover and adjust the truss rod to get the action nice, where I'd like it. Not slammed, but good, without any real fret buzzes, even all the way up. There's one little fret that could use just a little bit of filing. I think it's like the 14th fret or the 13th fret that we're going to bring just a little bit of the head off when it gets to making this thing perfect. But overall, for the price range, the action, once the truss rod was adjusted, wasn't bad. What really concerns me, greatly, very much so, I have to tell you what concerns me so much, is that truss rod got really tight when I got to the point that it is right here. And I'm afraid that if I twist much more on that truss rod, it gonna break. And then this is going to be $79 worth of firewood, or at least in need of a new neck. I need to tell you that. Now, my buddy Danny bought the same exact guitar, and as I mentioned in the previous video, we're both modding them with just under a $200 budget, mod it out and make it how you would want it, try to get the most out of it, pickup swaps, tuner swaps, things like that. So that will be coming. But his neck needed no adjustment and was quite lovely. That's what you get in this price range. You get great ones and crap ones. The good thing is, if you buy from a reputable seller like Walmart, they will take it back. And you can be like, this one sucks, give me the other one. And as long as you're willing to go through that adventure, you can end up all right. It used to be the same deal with Jay Tercer guitars. You'd pick up 5 of them, one of them would be great, cool, that's the one you buy. Not all Tercers suck, just the ones nobody buys that sit there. Anyway, moving on to this guitar. The pickup that's in it is actually serviceable. You heard a little bit of the play at the beginning. We'll do a little bit more play in a second. But it's nothing fantastic. But the pots are actually so smooth. The knobs are actually really well done. Now these are mini little chiclet pots. I'll flash up a picture when we had the guard off of actually Danny's guitar. And a little bit of shielding behind them, but they're so smooth that I'm not going to replace them because they feel wonderful. Now at the other end of the guitar are the tuners, which are not smooth. They feel like there are rocks in there as a critical part of their componentry. And the knobs that you turn feel sharpish and just uncomfortable in your hands. Nothing about them makes you want to attempt tuning the guitar. And I have a feeling that it's like, you ever work with someone who's kind of a shitty worker, but, sorry for the language, but every time you ask them to do something, they were horrible about doing it anyway, but they were such a horrible personality that you didn't want to ask them and they somehow stayed there? That's these tuners. They're grumpy and don't want you to touch them because they're not really good at their job of actually tuning either. There's that. Anyway, that's what you get. Once again, $79 or $99 because I think they raised, the rollback isn't as rolled back today as it was then. But they have these in red, black, and I think a tobacco sunburst. I'll also go and point that we bought these with our good hard-earned American money. Walmart didn't participate at all. It just seemed like a fun thing to do. And the YouTube gods that I think we're at 14 or 15,000 views on that video and counting this week seem to like the idea too, to at least promote it. So yeah, thanks YouTube gods. Now we're going to do just a few tones out of this pickup. It's not worth going crazy with. The rig's coming out of a Mesa Boogie Mark 525, going into a 2-notes Captor, into Logic. No pedals in front of it, just a little bit of reverb, clean, and I think the Mark IV setting on the Mark IV for the overdrive, which I am not going to spend a lot of time in. Before you get too much farther in tones, it's a good point here to point out with a single pickup humbucker guitar that has a volume and a tone knob. It's not a la Eddie Van Halen, but a la this guitar and a la the classic formula for a Junior from Gibson. There are a couple of tricks you can do, and I'm going to kind of roll through it, where you'll see it full blast, but if I roll the tone off or roll the volume off, I'm actually able to get almost like a neck tone out of it. And so hopefully as I go through this, you can kind of see me go through that process. And I'll try and be deliberate about which knob I'm adjusting, either the tone or the volume. Right back to it. This brings me to my next point. Not bad though, you can see some of the swings there. When you buy a cheap guitar, folks, kids, youngins, if you're watching this video because you've saved your hard-earned allowance money, your summer job money, your parental promised you money, your any money, depending on how old you are, but if you're saving up and you're at this point and this is what you can afford to get into, it behooves you, meaning it makes sense for you. It really does, to make sure you have the additional $6 to put a fresh set of strings on this, because the strings that these things ship with, even the extra strings that come in the box, are absolute dog poop. They stretch. They won't hold tune for very long. And especially if you're on the beginning end of guitar playing, they will continue to sound kind of awful. And it's not you. It's hard enough to learn how to play guitar when the instrument is great, but when the instrument fights you, it's not a lot of good time. So it makes sense to put a new set of strings on this, and you'll actually find that if you go up a gauge, this has 9s on it. If you put a set of Ernie Ball regular Slinky 10s or D'Addario XL 10s on it, you'll actually find that it may buzz less because the slightly heavy strings don't wobble as much. So if the fret's a little high, it won't wobble as much and it won't come in contact. My luthier keeps yelling at me to go to 11s or 12s because you can get lower and better. And I don't have hands of steel. Anyway, that's kind of that. I'm going to give a quick little blast with some gain, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Second point of note, if you have a beginning guitar and you don't have an amp that does overdrive, get one. I don't care how cheap it is. If as long as it's got a 12-inch speaker, some nominal amount of watts to it, and you can push air out of it. For me, I just know that like all the classical stuff, Mariana, Little Lamb, whatever else, clean, I was like, yay. But when you hit a power chord and you feel just stupid distortion like that through it, this guitar, while not equal to greater guitars, don't get me wrong, still puts a smile on your face. It never gets old. So, let's recap. From the tip, great looking headstock. It's the right shape. It's a traditionalist stream. Digging it. Tuners, dog poop, awful. Throw them out. Don't touch them. They're trying to hurt you. They're mean. They're awful. They fail. They're not good at their job. Nut. Actually, this nut's cut pretty well. The string height coming over the first fret's actually at a really good spot. Not really complaining there. Neck, slim. Very much a D, not a C. There is no roundover. And in fact, what looks like you're seeing the fretboard here is actually black binding so that they didn't have to cut the edge of the rosewood fretboard super precisely. They could just lay this binding over it, which is almost like a black sticker. And you can actually see it kind of wave a little as it goes through here. This is not a connoisseur's guitar, but it is a modder's dream. Carrying on. A fretboard is nice enough. Dots are nice enough. The maple in the back is actually very smooth, very thin finish. The frets on the edges don't feel good. They need to be filed back. The top edge of the fret hangs over that fretboard and does hurt you. This one is bad. My buddy Danny's was like a hacksaw. It was worse. It wanted to make him bleed. Carrying on down the fretboard, on the pickup, it's all right. It's better than like the first act pickups that I played in my daughter's little pink first act guitar. The bridge is perfectly fine. I read someone had a comment somewhere. It's like, oh, it snapped off the posts and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is just fine. The one negative though with the bridge is, I'll see if I can get a picture in here. This is a very good replica of the bridge that was on a 1950s SG. The problem is the G string on a 50s SG was wound, which meant that it messed with intonation stretch differently. So that's why this little saddle right here, the fourth one, still continues a step pattern, whereas with an unwound G, this should be up here. So it makes the G kind of tough to intonate. You can swap, it's $15-20 for a replacement bridge. You can also get like a badass, it's fully got slidable things. There's a lot of different options. The PRS style that has like just the one saddle that you can kind of adjust to get it. A lot of different options there, but I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. But the metal on it actually doesn't look bad. I've screwed in a little bit. Make sure you have a proper size screwdriver, or else you will strip, bend, mar the slot holes. I dig the pick guard. It's a large guard one that just kind of continues around, but because it's bound on a black body, I think it looks rather nice. Love the knobs, not going anywhere. Love the pots, not going anywhere. And I really had planned on having them go somewhere, but they're not. That's cool. Jack, tight, does jacky things. The finish on the body, really shiny, very nice. No real issues other than we laid out some parts on Danny's one, and I scratched the bejesus out of the top. So I think it'll be very prone to scratching. Also, advisory note, cheap Chinese Bigsby's don't put little fuzzy feet on the back of them and have sharp little metal things that'll scratch the hell out of the top. There's a giveaway for what one of the mods that Danny's doing. So overall, it's got a good looking body, a good looking headstock. The neck is in the spot where it's good, but if that thing shifts anymore, I don't know that the truss rod's going to be able to help it. The pickup is good enough to end up in the parts bin, but good enough to have some fun with ahead of time. We won't even talk about the GM05. More will come with that. and the bridge is going to get binned for something else. As I outlined in the other video, this thing is going to get a gold makeover because gold is a tone metal and will be sonically so much more superior than the plated. It's just BS, guys. I'm kidding. But I think it'll really give it like almost like an SG Junior custom kind of look, which would be interesting. So gold covered pickup, which is going to be a GFS Dream 180. Gold tuners, gold screws in the pickguard. I don't yet have a gold jack, and I do not yet have gold strap buttons, although I may have some of those in the bin. Anyway, those are all the things that go for this. By the way, neck heavy? Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. Very much neck heavy guitar. Hopefully maybe a little heavier pickup and, I don't know, some other stuff will help balance things out. With that, though, this has been the Maestro by Gibson SG. Stay tuned, though. So we're going to then have a couple more videos about this where Danny and I go and put all the mods in ours and have kind of a head-to-head showdown where the channel gets to decide which one of us went the right direction with how you would mod one of these guitars. I hope you enjoy that. And as always, we've got more guitars coming up. If you like this, like it. If you want to subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Enjoy some of our typical budgety mod stuff, low-cost things, and we kind of shake the tree for lesser-known guitars all over the internet. That's what we do. That's what I do. I have fun with it. And we're actually going to have some fun guest people on the channel in the next couple months. With all of that, I've been Nick in the States. Yes, folks, I have issues. Thanks for letting me share them with you today. Take care.